And good morning, everybody. Welcome into our Tuesday show of Hey, Scotty Mac Live. I am Scott McKinney. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. We greatly appreciate you guys hanging with us. And if you're watching on our Facebook Live broadcast, good morning to you. And if you'd be so kind as we ask you every day to hit the like button and hit the share button there. And we got some changes coming on the podcast and the broadcast here. I thought it was going to be ready this morning, but apparently it's not. So it looks like tomorrow. So we'll tell you more about that later. So that is fantastic. But good morning to everybody. Hope you're having a great start to your day. And if you're listening to us on our audio-only podcast at collegegamenotes.com, that's the podcast website, collegegamenotes.com. We're very happy to have you this morning as well. Want to thank our great sponsors for bringing you this show as they do every morning, and that's our good friends at Bayou Bill's Crab House, located in Inlet Beach and in Santa Rosa Beach. Two great locations for you to enjoy the freshest seafood, ribs, and more. That's Bayou Bill's Crab House. Also, our friends at Second Amendment Shooting and Sport in Niceville, right across John Sims Parkway from the Sears and the Pep Boys. Check them out there at Second Amendment Shooting and Sport. Also, our friends at my-pak.com. That's my-pak.com. That's www.my-pak.com. Check out that awesome website. Those amazing backpacks are just on fire. People love those things, and you're going to want to get yours as well. Great gift idea. Christmas won't be that far away. Kids are already talking about they want a new backpack. Go to my-pak.com. Also, our friends at 98 Barbecue, located in Santa Rosa Beach, right there on Highway 98. It's a good place to go for lunch today for an incredible barbecue sandwich, burgers, chicken salad, and more at 98 Barbecue. And our friends at Acme Oyster House. They've got the brand new location out in front of Seascape Golf Course there in the Destin Miramar Beach area. Check them out. They are open 7 days a week with incredible Louisiana food specialties, including those charred grilled oysters at Acme Oyster House. Well, we got a lot to talk about today. We kind of put a recap on last weekend's college football. We go over the college football polls today. Also, we start looking ahead a little bit at this coming weekend. We start kind of getting an eye on that. And one of the things we like to do on Tuesday, we go over just the latest college football news and headlines, and a little special segment today of what have we learned in the first 3 weeks of the college football season. So all of that and more coming up on the show this morning. Glad you are with us. And we want to make it very interactive. So if you're watching live on Facebook, or if you're watching even the recorded version later in the day on Facebook, type in where you are watching and being with us from this morning, your city and state. Now, don't do it in dry, but if you would get a chance just to put in there where you are watching on Facebook from, that would be great. If you're listening to us on the audio-only podcast or at collegegamenotes.com, or perhaps you're downloaded on the iTunes or Apple Store, just simply text me at 850-460-0326. That's 850-460-0326, and we would love to have you join what we have going on here this morning and saying hello to us. So, last weekend came and went. There's been a lot of things from the weekend that we're just now kind of putting our mind around. Of course, that incredible Florida Gator win over Tennessee on that Hail Mary play at the end of the game. Also, the incredible Southern Cal Texas game, and how Texas now finally getting things going in the right direction, and at least you get a little bit of momentum going there, even though you lost. Also, the South Carolina-Kentucky game, which turned out to be an interesting game, and a story that came out after the fact that the South Carolina players refused to shake hands at the pregame coin toss. And we've got some more on that coming up in just a little bit. That was kind of an interesting little thing that popped up here in the last few days that came out. We'll address that this morning. Also, Auburn, their backup quarterback, as we told you yesterday, Sean White, who was arrested on a DUI charge over the weekend, has now been dismissed from the football team. He is no longer a member of the Auburn team. So we'll talk about that and who becomes the backup quarterback at Auburn. We'll get into that in just a little bit. And a few other things that are starting to pop up. Of course, we told you yesterday that former Florida Gator Brent Peace, who's been the offensive coordinator at Texas El Paso, has been fired out there 3 games into the season, which is a little bit unusual in college football, but nonetheless, he is out. So there's a lot of little things happening. Later today, we will get the injury reports from all the schools, and really tomorrow we get full effect into going over the weekend that was in college football, or weekend that shall be in college football. So we'll get into that in just a little bit. And there's other things to talk about as well. What's happening with Nebraska football? Of course, that tough loss, and Mike Riley is talking about that, what that might mean for him moving forward. Is his job in jeopardy? And he had some interesting comments on that yesterday. We'll get to that in just a little bit. So there's a lot to talk about today here on our show as we get started. The first thing we always like to do on Tuesday morning is go over the polls and kind of look at where everybody is on the brand new college football polls. And this is the Associated Press Top 25. Alabama remains at number 1, followed by Clemson at 2, Oklahoma at 3, Penn State at 4, Southern Cal at 5, Oklahoma State at 6, Washington at 7. And I'm going to stop right there because, in my opinion, those are the 7 teams that have a shot of being in the college football playoff, or I should say the best shot. Alabama, Clemson, Oklahoma, Penn State, Southern Cal, Oklahoma State, Washington. Those are the schools that appear to have the best shot at this point. We're going to talk more about our projected college football playoff coming up in a bit as well. At number 8 in the AP poll is Michigan. Number 9 is Wisconsin. 10, Ohio State. Georgia checks in at number 11. Florida State at number 12. Virginia Tech at 13. You've got Miami at 14. Auburn at 15. TCU at 16. Mississippi State at 17. Washington State at 18, Louisville at 19, Florida comes in at 20, South Florida at 21, San Diego State 22, Utah at 23, Oregon at 24, and LSU at 25. Now, a couple of quick things about the poll, in my opinion. I think Mississippi State is way underrated. I think they should be much higher. I think Auburn is way overrated. Definitely they should be much lower. Florida probably about where they need to be at number 20. Those are the things that kind of stick out in my mind. And then Georgia at number 11 possibly should be a little bit higher, but of course Georgia has that huge game with Mississippi State coming up this weekend, and we'll find out a lot more about both Georgia and Mississippi State coming up in this Saturday afternoon as they play between the hedges in Georgia, in Athens, Georgia. And that is the current AP top 25 in college football. What are the big surprises so far for me? A couple of quick things. Let's first look at the ACC. You know, Clemson is no big surprise at 3-0. But what about Wake Forest? Wake Forest is 3-0 already, 1-0 in conference play, and Wake off to a great start. The other thing, too, Florida State, and we got to talk more about this week. You know, Florida State played that opening game against Alabama, and they have not played since. This is a Florida State team that needs to get some games in. Everybody else has pretty much played 3 games, and Florida State has only played 1. And I know they are chomping at the bit to get back on the field and get going over there. Again, they've had a couple of games wiped out by the Storms. So Florida State, that's just a little bit of an anomaly with all the Storms and the fact they've had some games canceled. In the Coastal Division of the ACC, Duke is out there at 3-0 overall. Virginia Tech is 3-0. Neither one of those schools have played a conference game yet, but both of them are out there at 3-0. Miami, of course, same situation as Florida State. They've only played 1 game. They're chomping to get back in there as well to get in there play as quickly as they can. In the Big Ten, right now you've got Michigan and Penn State both checking at 3-0 overall. Iowa and Minnesota, along with Wisconsin, all 3-0. Nebraska, really the surprise at 1-2. They've really been struggling out of the gate this year. The Big 12 Conference, you've got Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, TCU all at 3-0. Texas Tech at 2-0. Nobody's played any conference games out there, so those will get started here pretty quickly. In Conference USA, this is a good football conference this year. You've got Marshall and Old Dominion both at 2-1. You've got Louisiana Tech at 2-1. Texas San Antonio is at 2-0. Southern Miss and UAB at 2-1. This is a pretty good football league this year. Out of the Mountain West, Boise State at 2-1. San Diego State, though, the talk of college football. One of the stories, the San Diego State team, the Aztecs, are 3-0 already as they get ready to go into conference play. In the SEC, in the East, how about Kentucky? Kentucky, Georgia, and Vanderbilt all at 3-0. Now, Kentucky and Florida are both 1-0 in the league play, so they're on top of the East. In the West, Mississippi State, Alabama at 3-0, but Mississippi State's on top of the league in the West because they have played a conference game. They're 1-0. Alabama will have that game at Vanderbilt coming up this week. In the Pac-12, you've got Washington, Cal, Oregon, and Washington State all at 3-0. And Washington State with a 1-0 conference record, the only conference game that has been played among those four schools. Southern Cal, Colorado, Utah all at 3-0 as well. So you've got in the Pac-12 7 schools that are already checking in undefeated at 3-0 records. So everybody's off to a really good start. Just to kind of run down the conference alignments. Now, we're going to get into some stuff. We're going to talk about what have we learned in the first 3 weeks of the college football season. We are going to do that when we come back. We're going to take our first break of the day. We'll be back, and let me remind you that if you haven't done so, to hit the like button, hit the share button. We would greatly appreciate it. It's right there in front of you. Just hit that. Let me pull this up right here. Everything that happens doesn't happen like we want it to. There we go. Hit the like button, hit the share button this morning. We would greatly appreciate it. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come right back. You are watching and listening to Hey Scotty Mac Live. And welcome back, everybody. Glad you're with us here on this Tuesday morning. Thank you for making us a part of your day. And we got a lot of stuff going on this morning. Glad you're with us. And we're trying to grow our audience more and more. And we appreciate when you hit the share button down there on your Facebook page. Or if you just get a chance, one of the things you can really do for us, and we appreciate it, is we're driving more and more people to our audio-only podcast page at www.collegegamenotes.com. That's www.collegegamenotes.com. Just type in a little note on your Facebook page, a post, if you will, or on Twitter, to tell people, hey, guys, check it out. Check out Scotty Mac's live show, his podcast here. We would greatly appreciate that. It means a lot as we get everything going with what we do. We appreciate it so very much. A couple of quick housekeeping things let me share with you here. Let me see here. Beautiful. I'm just looking at the mail I've got sitting in front of me here that was just put in front of me. A couple of quick things. We do a weekly college football pick'em, and we're changing this up. I was talking about this earlier. This is one of the things we're changing. We've been doing a text in, and we've been doing one game. And we are going to actually change that a little bit. We've had a lot of people request this because we used to do this years ago, and I've had a bunch of people request us to bring it back and do it again. So we're going to do it this way. And we kind of rolled it out last week. We're not going to do just a one game of the week, but instead we have a sheet now that's got, I think, 10 or 12, maybe 13 games on it that we posted on our Facebook page. We post it on Twitter, and we will even email it to you. And you go in and you fill it out with all the games. It's free to enter, and that's how you could win your 98 barbecue gift card. So if you would like to enter this week's contest, it's a really easy form. It's got the games. All you have to do is write the team. You don't have to predict the score or anything. But if you want to get involved in our weekly Pick'em contest, we had so many people requesting that we do this and bring it back, so we're bringing it back. Then simply just email me at heyscottymac@gmail.com. That's heyscottymac@gmail.com, and I will be more than happy to email that to you, and we appreciate everybody being a part of it. We get a lot of people that want to do it, and I think what's happened is there have been some folks in the past who have done these, and they've all gone away for whatever reason. And I think a lot of people enjoy picking a sheet of games. Like I said, I think it's 10 or 12, maybe 13 games on there. And what happens is folks like to just, instead of picking that one game and it's either win or else, you get a shot now by picking all these games. And again, you don't have to pick the score. All you're doing is just picking the winner. It's really kind of cool. But a lot of people who've done those over the years, they've all kind of gone away. So let me encourage you to be a part of it, and then when you get a copy of it, share it with your friends, share it with your coworkers. The more the merrier, obviously. So I think it's really kind of cool. We're getting a lot of people already. I just looked down and I'm already getting people emailing me at heyscottymac@gmail.com asking for it. So it is on our Facebook page. It is on our Twitter page, but if you want that form to get into our college football pick'em to win that gift card, you can also email me at heyscottymac@gmail.com. That's heyscottymac@gmail.com. All right, also a quick little note that tomorrow night that our weekly college football newsletter, The Extra Point, will be coming out. It looks like it'll be on time for tomorrow night. Sometimes it backs up to Thursday, but usually it's Wednesday night, and it looks like tomorrow it will be Wednesday night as well. We email it directly to your inbox. If you're not getting that, just simply email me at heyscottymac@gmail.com. That's heyscottymac@gmail.com, and I'll get you the subscription information about joining that. So we would love to have you guys subscribe to our Extra Point College Football newsletter. It is chock full of good information every week. So just email me at heyscottymac@gmail.com. We're looking forward to that. It is going to be a great issue this week. We're already working on it. It's got a lot of good information in it, so check it out there on our newsletter, our college football newsletter called The Extra Point. What have we learned in the first 3 weeks of the college football season? And I'm going to go through this. We'll start with the SEC and tell you what I've learned. And these are my thoughts on all of our teams. And we're not going to do every conference, but we're going to do the SEC and some other schools that really kind of, I think, for us, affect the thoughts of what we do here and people who watch and that kind of thing. But let's start with the SEC and what we have learned. In my opinion, what I have learned about each of these teams in the SEC as we start the season. First of all, we'll start with the SEC East in Kentucky. What I've learned about Kentucky is the first 3 weeks is so far they appear to be as good as advertised. This is a Kentucky team that has opened up the season 3-0. They've won 2 of their first 3 games on the road, which is big. That shows you a lot. They've got an offense that's scoring a lot of points. They've got an offense that can be explosive with explosive plays. So what I've learned about Kentucky so far is they are as good as advertised. What have I learned about the Florida Gators? And I will tell you that for me, the Florida Gators have been a exercise in figuring it out. What I've learned is that they're a very young team. They're still trying to figure things out. A team that desperately needed a win over Tennessee that they got on that Hail Mary play. And that's a type of win that can propel them moving forward. But what I've learned is offensively, Florida's not as good as we thought they would be going into the season, but they are getting better. I've learned that Florida also defensively is pretty good. South Carolina, what have we learned about the Gamecocks? Well, the Gamecocks are off to a 2-1 start. Disappointing home loss to those Kentucky Wildcats. What we've learned is their quarterback is really good. Their defense is solid. But also what we've learned now is that they're going to have to do this the rest of the way without their star explosive player, Deebo Samuel, who broke his leg and will likely miss the rest of the season. That's a tough break for South Carolina, who now looks a lot different than they did a week ago. A week ago at this time, all the tools were there, but now moving forward, I don't know. South Carolina may fall back to the middle of the pack. The Georgia Bulldogs, what have we learned about them? They're 3-0. We've seen Georgia already be a very balanced attack, very balanced running the football, passing the football. We've also learned that they can win without their starting quarterback, Jacob Eason. Jake Fromm, the freshman, has come in and played extremely well. Now, what I've also learned is that Jacob Eason is trying to get back on the practice field this week even, trying to get himself back into the swing of things. That bruised knee is responding very well to treatment. There's no word from Kirby Smart yet on which way they will go on Saturday against Mississippi State, and not even sure if Jacob Eason will be available to go in that game. That is something that I know that they will watch over there. But what I've learned is Georgia, the word I would use for them right now, very, very balanced. The Vanderbilt Commodores off to a 3-0 start, including a very big win over nationally ranked Kansas State last week. What have we learned about Vanderbilt? Well, what I've learned is Derek Mason is a really good football coach, which we knew anyway. I've also learned that his defense is as good as you're going to see anywhere and is just really on fire. Vanderbilt is one of the top defenses in the nation. They've only given up 13 points in 3 games. Let me repeat that. The Vanderbilt defense has only given up 13 total points in 3 games. That is fantastic. That's just over 4 points a game average. What I've learned is this Vanderbilt team is not a team you want to mess with. And here comes Alabama rolling to town, and we'll preview that starting tomorrow. But I got to tell you, man, in the past, Vanderbilt-Alabama games have just, even the ones we thought, well, keep an eye on Vandy. Looks like they got a chance to be okay. I don't know if we have the same type of Vanderbilt team. This is a different type of Vanderbilt team that I think could give Alabama some real fits this week. What have we learned about Tennessee? The Vols are 2-1. I said going into the year that I thought the Vols were a 5 or 6 win team. I've given them a little bit of love. They looked pretty good in their first 2 games. They struggled in their most recent game down in Florida. They got a really good running back. They got a quarterback who's so young. He's trying to figure it out. This is a team that can be good, but they're just so young. And what I've learned about Tennessee is they're going to have a lot of growing pains this year. The Missouri Tigers are 1-2. And what's funny is, and what I've learned about Missouri is everybody put too much stock into their win over Missouri State. That first game when Missouri scored over 70 points against Missouri State and everybody went crazy and how good Missouri's going to be. And I said even on our broadcast then that the team they're playing is terrible. We're talking about Missouri State, a 1AA team who's terrible. And we said, don't get caught up in the hype. Well, Missouri then loses at home to South Carolina. They lose at home to Purdue. So what I've learned about Missouri is they're essentially the same team that we've seen the last few years. They're just not that good a football team. And if Missouri wins 3 games this year, I would be shocked. All right, in the SEC West, what have we learned? Mississippi State off to a great start, 3-0 overall, 1-0 in the conference. What I've learned is this Bulldog team is a lot better than we thought they were going to be. Their defense is athletic. It is big. It's led by guys like Jeffrey Simmons and Leo Lewis. They are really, really good. This is a team that I was going to really get its mettle tested over at Georgia this week, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Mississippi State go over there and win the game at Georgia. But what I've learned is Mississippi State is a lot better than we thought. We knew their offense would be good with Nick Fitzgerald. What we did know is how good their defense would be, and it's really good. Alabama, 3-0 start. The big game coming up this week at Vandy. What have we learned as we do our What Have We Learned segment? Well, we've learned that Alabama is still Alabama. They've got a power running game. They've got a quarterback who manages the game extremely well. They don't get too high. They don't get too low. They don't get hyped up. I have learned that the Alabama defense is about what we thought. We said that this is an Alabama defense that's rebuilding, especially on the defensive front and the defensive line, and that they're going to go through some growing pains, and that's exactly what they're doing. They gave up quite a few points to Colorado State. I think you're going to see this Alabama defensive line get better with maturity and with age. But I got to tell you, this is an Alabama team that has all the ingredients to win another championship, but they've got to make sure that some of these young kids grow up pretty quickly. Now, I've also learned that this offense, when Jalen Hurts is running the football, can be ultra dangerous. I've learned that when Jalen Hurts is throwing the football, they can be dangerous as well, but maybe the consistency is still not there where it needs to be. Now, this big game coming up Saturday with Alabama at Vanderbilt, that game in Nashville, we already know that is a tough place to go play. But what's interesting is that the line on the game, Alabama is a 18.5-point favorite, and Vanderbilt and Alabama, the total number of points expected in the game, the over-under, as they say in Vegas, is 43.5. Now, if you break that down, knowing that Alabama is an 18-point favorite, Alabama is an 18.5-point favorite, the folks in Vegas then, knowing that the two teams are expected to score around 43.5, then to do a little simple math, you're looking at they are projecting Alabama to win by the score. Let's see here. Let's do a little math. Let's see. That would be 25, 35, around 30-13. The folks in Vegas are projecting this final score to be somewhere Alabama 30, Vanderbilt 13. So that's kind of what they're saying. So you put that in perspective. We're just talking about how good this Vanderbilt defense is and talking about what it's been able to do. This is a Vanderbilt defense that's given up 13 points all year, but they're thinking Alabama's going to score 30 on them and win the game 30-13. Ole Miss, what have we learned about Ole Miss in the first 3 weeks? Well, kind of what we expected, in that the offense can be very good. The defense is going to give up a lot of yards and give up a lot of big plays. They've got to avoid that. And if they're going to win games, they're going to depend on Shea Patterson, their quarterback, and those very talented wide receivers to put up big numbers. Against Cal last week, the offense struggled, and when the offense struggled, they lost the game. Now, you got to take your hat off to the Ole Miss defense. I thought they played very well against Cal last week, only giving up 26 points. So the defense actually played better. But this is an Ole Miss team that I think we will really learn the mettle of this team over the course of the next 2 weeks. They're coming off the adversity of losing a game they should have won, albeit on the road at Cal. They have this week off, and then they go to Alabama next week. So a tough task, but we're going to find out a lot about this team. Auburn, sitting there at 2-1. What have we learned about Auburn in the first 3 weeks? Well, the offense is not anywhere near as good as we thought. The defense is really, really good. This is an Auburn defense that's given up 31 points in 3 games, just over 10 points a game. But it's an offense that's still struggling to find itself. There's a lot of hype and a lot of pomp and circumstance placed on Jarrett Stidham and all the expectations. And so far he's been, I would guess to say he's been average. He hasn't set the world on fire. Maybe the expectations were too high. But this is an Auburn offense that's had pretty much no running game at this point to speak of, and no explosive plays at this point. And that's what Auburn has thrived on in the past, are the explosive plays, and that's just not happening so far. Texas A&M, 2-1 start. What have we learned about them? Well, we've learned that they're not very good. They're a very young team. They're going to get better as the season rolls on, but they're a team that's lost a game they shouldn't have lost. They've almost lost another game that they wound up winning. What we know for Texas A&M, they've got a real critical stretch of games coming up. We'll see if they can somehow get that thing going in the right direction. What have we learned about Arkansas? Well, I really thought that this Arkansas team could be fantastic. They got off to a decent start, and I thought this is a team that can be a lot of problem for folks. And then they lost that home game to TCU, a game in Fayetteville that even though TCU was ranked, I really thought Arkansas was the better team, and they just were outplayed and outcoached in that ball game. So I want to see Arkansas now moving forward. A huge game coming up this week in Dallas against Texas A&M. I suspect Arkansas is going to try to make a statement in that game. You get a kind of funny feeling about that. That game has always been very close with these two teams. But Arkansas, you're going to find out a lot about the moxie of their team coming up. LSU, what have we learned about the LSU Fighting Tigers in the first 3 weeks of the season? Well, we thought they were a pretty good team, and then they go to Mississippi State and get absolutely pounded. They get just run out of the gym, as we like to say. What do we know about this LSU team? Well, we know that Danny Etling is a decent quarterback. We know that Darius Geis is a very good running back. We know that offensively they can score and get up and down the field. Defensively, the real shocker for me is this LSU defense has looked average at best. Arden Key has been out. He did come back this past week. You could tell he still has a little bit of rust. But this is a defense that's got to get a lot better in a hurry if they're going to compete for an SEC West title. That's just basically where they are. So that's what we've learned about our teams in the SEC over the course of the first 3 weeks of the season. And if you have any comments, want to jump in there, your thoughts, feel free to type it in on our Facebook Live page, or you can text us at 850-460-0326. But that's what we've learned about all the SEC teams. And if you missed any of that, don't forget that as soon as the show is over, we repost this video and audio back to our Facebook page, and then we put it on our podcast page. Now, I will tell you that things are changing starting tomorrow. I was trying to get it, I thought it was done today, but I realized there was one thing that didn't get done. Starting tomorrow, we will have a very brief Facebook broadcast, and that will be followed up by our podcast. We're going to be switching everything pretty much over, the bulk of what we do over to the podcast on the audio only, the podcast. Not that we don't have anything against, or not that we have anything against Facebook, but we are going to be switching over to the audio-only podcast. We'll do a daily live little Facebook hit to get you ready for everything, but basically everything's going to be on the podcast, and it will be a little subscription service, and it's what we do. We're no different than anybody else, but it's going to be like less than buying, a hamburger. I mean, it's crazy for the month. I'm talking about. You're going to pay just hardly anything to get over there and be with us. So that's how we make money. That's how we pay our bills, and that's how we do what we do. So that'll be starting up tomorrow, and hopefully you will make the jump. Hopefully you enjoyed all the programming, and you'll make the jump with us. So, all right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to continue talking a little college football and find out what have we learned in the first 3 weeks of the season. We're coming right back right after this on Hey Scotty Mac Live. And welcome back, everybody. Glad you are with us here on this beautiful Tuesday morning as we start heading toward week 4 of the college football season. It will be here just in a few days. It's hard to believe, the college football regular season is 12 games, and we're already 1/4 of the way into the season. Man, it is just jumping right on by, and we are so excited because it has been a lot of fun already, a lot of great games, a lot of big games, and we've got more big games coming out. Just looking at the upcoming schedule for the next few weeks, not just this week, but looking ahead past this week, there's some great games coming up. The month of October is always a great month in college football season. Hey, we want to thank our great sponsors, our good friends at Second Amendment Shooting and Sport in Niceville. We've been telling you about all the wonderful things they have going on over there. They're right across John Sims Parkway from the Sears and the Pep Boys. And they have the largest selection of short-barreled rifles, short-barreled shotguns, and AOWs. They also handle thousands of Form 1s and Form 4s, so they're experienced in knowing what it takes to get your paperwork done correctly and quickly. And they carry a full line of accessories for all of the silencers, everything you need to start shooting suppress. So, silencers are legal in the state of Florida for recreational shooting and hunting. And Second Amendment Shooting and Sport is your source for the biggest selection of silencers, including Dead Air, Silencer Co., and Rugged. And they can get any other silencer you may need, so check them out. Also, our friends at my-pack.com. We've been showing you these amazing backpacks. They're still available on the website, which is www.my-pak.com. That's www.my-pak.com. You can print out whatever you want. That's the really cool thing about these. Kids, they're a month or so into the school year. How many of your kids have come to you and said, I want a new backpack. I'm tired of my backpack. Well, if you get them one of these at my-pak.com, you see there, y'all see that? It's kind of backwards, my-pak.com. Then they can print out whatever they want to print out. Maybe they want to print out their favorite sports team logo. Maybe they want to print out their high school or junior high or soccer team logo. Maybe they want to print out pictures of themselves or them and their friends. Maybe they want to print out cartoon characters. It's unlimited. One of the things that parents of younger children are loving is that they print out, 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. They print out their kid's name, their homeroom teacher's name, the school bus number, their phone number, so that, if the backpack gets left somewhere, immediately, whoever finds it, they know who it belongs to. It's really cool. So a lot of parents of younger kids are loving that. So the only place you can get them is my-pak.com. That's my-pak.com, and tell them you heard about it here on the show. Also, I want to thank our friends at Bayou Bill's Crab House. Man, I love me some Bayou Bill's. They've got 2 stores for you, the 2 restaurants. One's in Santa Rosa Beach, right on Highway 98. The other one is located at Inlet Beach, out in front of the Winn-Dixie. Now, when you go to Bayou Bill's, they're going to have the best crab you've had. Local Choctaw Bay blue crab, snow crab, king crab. They've got every type of crab you can possibly imagine. There's stuffed shrimp. I don't talk about the stuffed shrimp enough because it is crazy good. They take those jumbo shrimp, stuff it with that crab meat stuffing. It is to die for. Their gumbo is award-winning. Their barbecue ribs are fall off the bone. And don't forget that Bayou Bill's not only has the restaurant at both locations, but they have an amazing sports bar at both locations where you can go in and watch your favorite college or NFL games. It's just a cool place to go. The food is off the chain. It is so good, so check them out. Also, our friends at 98 Barbecue, John Sealing and his staff sponsor our weekly college pick'em contest. Don't forget, by the way, if you'd like to be a part of our college football pick'em contest, email me at heyscottymac@gmail.com. That's heyscottymac@gmail.com, and I will send you the form to fill out. We've gone now from just doing one game to the full sheet of games, which is really cool. So go by and see our friends at 98 Barbecue. You're going to love everything they've got going on. They are wonderful people. What you will do, you go by 98 Barbecue, have your barbecue sandwich, some of those homemade French fries, potato salad. Go by there and tell John we sent you. He's going to take good care of you, and you'll leave there very full and very happy, I promise. Also, our friends at Acme Oyster House, the new store at Seascape Golf Course in Miramar Beach, kind of in between Destin and Sandestin. If you know where Seascape Golf Course is, as I tell people, hey, it's just in the brand new shopping center right there in front of Seascape Golf Course. We're there every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. to broadcast live for our Acme Oyster House college football pick'em show, so we're pumped about that. And we encourage you to stop by there and say hello to the folks at Acme Oyster House. All those great Louisiana food specialties, and you're going to love it. All right, let's go back. What have we learned about the Florida State Seminoles in the first 3 weeks of the college football season? Well, to be honest with you, we don't know. Part of that's because Florida State has already had 2 games canceled because of storms. They've only played the 1 game against Alabama. We saw that football team there. One thing about it, they are chomping at the bit. This football team has been off now for 2 straight weeks, and they get back to action coming up this week against North Carolina State. That game at home at 11 a.m. on ABC. It is going to be huge over there, noon Eastern time. Listen, I'm afraid North Carolina State may be running into a buzzsaw. We'll preview that game starting tomorrow. But we don't know much about Florida State at this point, just simply because we've only seen them play 1 game. And how are they going to respond from that big loss to Alabama? They've had a couple of weeks to heal up and get ready to get back in action, so we'll know more. What have we learned about Miami? Well, the same thing from the Miami Hurricanes, who've also only played the 1 game to begin the season. They beat up on Bethune-Cookman. Then their game at Arkansas State was canceled. Their game against Florida State was postponed. They're back now this week against Toledo. Toledo comes to town, and then we really find out more with Duke, the game at Duke on September the 29th. So this is a Miami team that the jury's still out on, no doubt about it, moving forward. I think this Miami team can be really good. I think they have all the elements to be a fantastic football team, and a team that could even find itself in the mix of the college football playoff if the right things start happening for them. I like this team. I really do. But they got to play some games. They got to figure this thing out, and they got to figure it out pretty quick. What about the Troy Trojans? The Troy has opened up the season 2-1. This is a Troy team. They lost their opener at Boise, if you remember, 24-13. They had all kind of chances to win that game. They came back and they beat Alabama State, and they went out and beat New Mexico State on the road. They've got the Akron Zips. For all you Auburn people and the Bowden family, head on over to Troy this weekend because you can see Coach Terry Bowden's Akron Zips come to town. They play at 5 o'clock at Troy on Saturday afternoon. So we'll find out more. And then next week, Troy goes to LSU, and that could be an interesting game right there, especially if LSU struggles continuing to figure out what they've got going on. But this is a Troy team, I think, if you look at their schedule, they're going to be favorites over Akron. They're going to be favorites over South Alabama, a favorite over Georgia State, a favorite over Georgia Southern, a favorite over Idaho, a favorite over Coastal Carolina, a favorite over Texas State, a favorite over Arkansas State. The only game left on their schedule where they won't be a favorite is that game at LSU. So this is a team that can win 10, 11 ball games this year, the Troy Trojans for sure. So that's what we've learned about the Troy Trojans. Let's take a quick look at other things happening around the landscape of college football in our college football roundup this morning. We've gone over the polls with you. We've also talked about some of the other news and notes items. Just to give you a couple other quick things of happening out there. The Vegas odds are out for Week 4. Tomorrow we will go over them extensively. That's what we do on Wednesday, among the things we do on Wednesday. But just some interesting things, just early thoughts. That Georgia-Mississippi State game, apparently Las Vegas isn't as sold on the Bulldogs' 30-point win over LSU as maybe the rest of us are at this particular point, because out in Vegas right now, this is a line. This is a line that when it opened up, let me pull this back up here. It just went away. You love it when things go away like that, and when they pop up. That's what we do for live radio, man. Live radio is always a lot of fun, and it's always things can happen you never know, right? Let me pull this up here. Okay. Hold on, folks. We're going to find this thing here because I just had it pop away. I was refreshing to make sure because the line. Here we go. Georgia, a 6.5-point favorite in that ball game. I mentioned Florida State. They opened up as an 11-point favorite over North Carolina State. I mentioned Alabama opening up as an 18.5-point favorite over Vanderbilt, which was a little bit surprising right out of the gate. Let's see here. A couple other quick lines. Florida is a 3-point favorite at Kentucky in that one. So there you go. It's kind of an interesting matchup in there. So let's see here. What other line? I wanted to share a couple other with you real quick. Let's see here. Real quick. LSU opens up as a 23.5-point favorite at home against Syracuse, and Troy opens up as a 15.5-point favorite at home against Akron. Well, that's going to wrap us up today. We've kind of gone over your morning sports headlines. What have we learned in the first 3 weeks of the college football season? So we would love for you guys to check us out on our audio-only podcast. You can find us on Game Notes, collegegamenotes.com. That's www.collegegamenotes.com. That's www.collegegamenotes.com. So go check that out. We know that you will enjoy that as much as we enjoy it. And then tomorrow we've got some big changes coming. So we're going to be telling you more about that. So we'll have a live update. I think we're going to have a live update this afternoon. So keep it around here. Like the page, share the page. That way, follow the page. So that way when we do live updates, you will have them there. So we would greatly appreciate you checking it out and liking the page. Follow us on Twitter. It's at Hey Scotty Mac. That's at Hey Scotty Mac on Twitter as well. And again, thanks to all of our great sponsors. We'll be back later this afternoon. And don't forget to join us in the morning at 7 a.m. as we have another big show for you. So have a great day, everybody. We love you guys. And thank you so much for being with us right here on Hey Scotty Mac Live.